There's a general who spoke to a group of senior Army officers at some mid-level officers grouped together or convention. And these words came out of his mind. The one piece of advice which will contribute to making you a better leader, will provide you with greater happiness, and will advance your career more than any one thing can do. And that is, you must care. Just those three words. I mean, I just have a habit, maybe it comes from those Navy days, of liking to use inappropriate language. And my definition of you must care, which is actually in my book, is give a shit-ism. And that's what it's all about. It's about people first. You know, I use in my speeches this little crappy slide of a tombstone, and it says Thomas J. Peters, to October, net worth the day he died, $17,832,631.11. Tombstones don't say that. They say, what kind of a human being was he? And, you know, and translating that in the day-to-day management is what it's about. I said, management is the most extreme opportunity to change the world. And that sounds like total bullshit. But the reality is that when you are working with your 6 people or 6,600, you can change an enormous number of lives, an enormous number of those lives dramatically, which is way beyond anything that the world's greatest surgeon can do.
You know, Tom, I went to a program at the National Academy of Human Resources, and the speakers before me were just talking, so I randomly had to sit there. And they talked about employee engagement. And they said, what are the keys to employee engagement? They talk about empowerment and training, all this stuff, right? Then they said global employee engagement is all-time low. Well, since I went to that, I think it's gotten lower. A lot of people seem to know the theory, but for some reason, it doesn't seem to be working. What's going wrong?
The last one that you want me to focus on.
Yeah, what's going wrong in terms of employee engagement? What's going wrong? Yeah.
Some guy wrote a book whose name I can't remember. And he said, the single most important thing that a leader does is hiring. You know, I know we'll hear a lot more about empathy and the like today, but if you want empathy, hire for it. There's a CEO of a biotech company called Biogen, I think. And he says, we only hire nice people. He said, I got a slot for some sexy scientific thing. And he said, you wouldn't even understand the title of the job slot. Doesn't matter. After the candidate finishes with me, he's got to talk to a random group of people who are really randomly assigned. And they can be from the finance department, they can be from housekeeping, they can be from R&D. And if they don't pass the NICE scale, they aren't hired. And I believe that is possible for virtually every single job in the world. If you want a bunch of people who care, I think there are a million things you can do, as we'll hear from some of my colleagues. But it's nice to get off to a damned high start. And the other thing associated with that, which gets far too little attention, is the number one asset in any sizable organization is the complete cadre of first-line leaders. Every variable that you can find is driven by that. And again, I know we say it's important, I got to fill that slot. You know, leave the damn slot open for 18 months if you have to, as awkward as it'll be. But, you know, we just don't want any people in the slot who just don't do the people first or whatever you want to call it thing. And that doesn't make it easier, but you're really off to one hell of a good start if you pick the right people and if you promote the right ones among the right group to that first level. First level management, you can keep all your goddamn ISIT assets you want. The set of first line managers will drive more profitability, quality, customer satisfaction, cleanliness in the restroom. I don't know what the hell else.
Martin, we got some great people
Amazing
here.
stuff. Yeah, well, listen, I actually think we should just do a little bit of a introduction. Coming up right now is a fascinating person. Our next guest argues that avoiding stress is impossible, but what can we do to adjust our relationship with stress? It doesn't have to own us, we can own it. How? Well, you'll find out right now, Marshall.
Well, coming up, we have Susan David, Dr. Susan David, PhD, award-winning psychologist at Harvard, winner of the Thinkers 50 Breakthrough Idea. She wrote a spectacular book called An Emotional Agility, which is award-winning. She's given a TED Talk with 8 million views. And I think even Tom Peters is a big fan of this person. So Susan is an amazing person. She's going to talk about one of the most important topics today. And that topic is called emotional agility.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be with you today, and such important questions that we're asking about how our organizations are or aren't fit for purpose, and also how we can connect better with people. I think the question that you ask about engagement is so profound and so important. And, you know, one thing that I'll just add to the beautiful answer that Tom gave is I think what a lot of organizations forget is that engagement is not something that gets written into a job description. You know, engagement is something that cannot be mandated. And so every time I hear of organizations saying, we've got this strategy, we've got these goals, these are the things we're trying to do, there's one word that comes to mind, and it's a 4-letter word, and the word is risk. And the risk is that your entire strategy is dependent on something that cannot be mandated. It is people's to give, not the organizations to demand. And this is where emotional skills have been segmented out of businesses. They've been seen as soft skills, and yet the skills of how to help cultivate things like meaning and purpose, feelings of autonomy and competence, these are the essence of what make organizations thrive. And yet our traditional corporations, unfortunately, through history and through seeing emotions as these soft skills, have actually undermined our capacity to really deliver on the kind of outcomes that are really important to the millions and millions and millions of people in our organizations.